Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. I hate when people say that. Do y'all notice that I've never said that before? And I just said it. Welcome back to my channel. I don't know why I hate it. It just doesn't sound like something I would say. But how y'all doing? Happy Sunday. Today is Sunday, August 4th, 2019. Don't adjust your TV screen. No, your computer screen. Don't double check your phone. I don't know. Yes, what I'm trying to say is yes, you read the title below correctly. This video is about my experience with weed, marijuana, cannabis, hash, whatever you want to call it. Where, when, and how that started for me. And do I smoke weed now? To answer that question, because I'm sure it's a question that people want to know or are curious about, or I catch people asking me about. So I'm here to answer it for y'all. My first experience with weed, I think I was about 16, 17. My friends were smoking. My uncles, a couple of people in my life, cousins, whoever. And I remember specifically thinking to myself, okay, well, I have asthma, so I'm not about to sit up here and be huffing and puffing on no weed because, duh, if I have asthma, I shouldn't be smoking anything, cigarettes, whatever. And I always have friends peer pressuring me like, oh, it's natural, it's from the earth, it ain't gonna do you like a cigarette, it's not gonna hurt your lungs, just try it. And I never really got into it. I was like, whatever, y'all just high and being whatever. I actually tried drinking before I tried smoking. Drinking is just something that's just, my grandmother, my family's part Irish, they're from the South, they're Native American, so all those things mixed together, and also being black is part of our culture. So my grandmother would kind of just be like, Easter, we would have communion with actual wine. Christmas, we'd have a small glass of champagne with dinner for the new year as well. That's just something that's common when you're in your teens, coming into adulthood. For my prom, for my champagne party, we had real champagne. That was my first champagne toast. So it's like part of tradition. I just found out this year, a lot of cultures don't even do champagne parties for prom. That's mostly just a black people thing. I didn't even know that. I thought everybody threw a damn champagne party. But I guess not. So yeah, culturally, I got introduced to alcohol first before I got introduced to marijuana. I knew about weed. I knew that it was a thing. It was in rap music. Everybody was, singing about it. This is the 90s, early 2000s when I was, in high school. It was, I went to high school from like 2001 to 2005. So that was like the Chronic album was out. It was everywhere, and I knew about it, but I was like, that's not for me. I kind of just saw it as like something I wasn't ready for, and I kind of put it right up there with cocaine and pills, and I just was like, that's like a drug, and I was like, no thanks. And I just kind of stayed away from it. I think there was one time when I was about 17 or 18, I went to my friend's house and her cousins were standing outside smoking. They're like, hey, you want to get in a rotation? And me, not knowing what the hell a damn rotation was, trying to be cool, I was like, yeah. I had no clue what the hell I was talking about or what they were doing. And they started passing this blunt around, and I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So I took a little puff of it, and nothing happened. And that was my experience for the next 2 years or so, 17, 18, 19, 20, so maybe about the next 3 to 4 years. I would take one hit at a party or in a rotation, like socially, because somebody would throw me into something and nothing would happen. I wouldn't feel nothing. There was one time where I kind of felt like giggly, and I think that was because I just got a contact high from everyone being in a circle. We were in a small space. But other than that, I was just like, okay, so I guess weed doesn't work for me. Maybe it doesn't, maybe I'm just immune. I don't know. So I never smoked again. And it wasn't until I was about 28 or 29 years old. I had just came out of my marriage. I was divorced. And I was working as a property manager, really high power, high stress, long hour job. And I was tired all the time, jittery all the time, anxious all the time, restless at night all the time. And I had a friend of mine, you know, I was single, so I'll be real. He was like a little cuddy buddy, a little boo thing, you know. He would come over and he was a smoker. And he was like, what do you mean you can't get high? Like I was telling him, you know, I've tried it a couple times here and there and nothing's really happened for me. And he was like, you doing it wrong or something. And I had heard that throughout my entire 20s, and I was like, whatever, people are always telling me I'm doing it wrong. How can you get inhaling wrong? Like, I don't understand. And he was like, when you inhale, are you taking a deep breath? And I was like, no, I'm just like, just puffing at it. And he was like, no, you don't puff and blow it back. It's not a cigar. You have to inhale it. And I was like, oh. And he was like, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna roll you a blunt and I'm gonna also bring a pen. And that was my first time seeing weed or cannabis in a cartridge pen. And I was like, okay. And he was like, yes, you can see the difference. So I'm just trying to be cute, you know, trying to be grown, you know, I'm 28, 29 at this point. By this time, weed is actually legal now in California. And so I was like, okay, it's a legal substance now. It's just like alcohol. So, you know, whatever. So versus back then when I was a kid, it was so taboo. Like it was cool to have weed. Like if you was a black person, cause you like, yeah, I played a Chronic and I listened to Snoop and Dre and roll my blunt and whatever. But I sound like such a damn nerd, but whatever. I'm gonna keep all this in here. I just paused to think about how nerdy I sound, but this is showing y'all really truthfully how innocent and naive I was. I didn't know anything. So I paused for a second. That's what that pause was, because I thought to myself, Tiffany, you sound like a whole ass nerd. Maybe you should edit this out, but I'm not. I'm gonna leave it in there. So I really didn't get the chance as a youth to experience it when my friends were experiencing it for the first time. I drank here and there a smidget, but I never was like, yeah, let's do weed or pills or ecstasy or whatever the hell else. I just put that all together and was like, I don't want nothing to do with none of that. And it wasn't until this friend of mine, this little boo thing, when I was 28, he started coming to my house, and every time he came over, he would smoke. And he was like, do you mind? I just like to smoke and relax before, you know, we hang out and Netflix and chill or whatever. And I was like, I don't care. I got a balcony. So we would sit on the balcony. And he started teaching me how to inhale. He was like, you got to breathe a little bit deeper if you want this to hit you. And I was like, okay. So I say working like it was a job, but experiencing that with him, I kind of was like, oh, okay. I feel a little lightheaded. You know, I feel a little floaty or whatever. You know, I feel a little rolling with the homie. I feel a little, you know, I feel a little clueless. That I felt like this little tiny kind of like head lifting. And I was like, oh, that's cute. I like that. Yeah. And that's pretty much all I had. Enter Mark Vincent Cooper Jr. I was 29 when I started dating Mark. Mark is the Smokestack 5000. Mark smokes weed, cigarettes, cigars. He smokes it all. Blunts, joints, wraps, whatever, backwoods, whatever you could think. Bongs, pipes, vape pens, dabs, anything you could think of weed related. Mark has tried it. He bakes with weed. He makes edibles. He cooks with weed. He makes weed butter. He has made me edible weed tacos, brownies, cakes, cookies. He at home today making edible lemon bars for a friend of his who ordered some for her mother's birthday. Funny enough. He is just, his middle name is Weed. And he had that opposite polar experience to what I had as a kid growing up on the west side. He grew up in like LA, Culver City, so like west side is different than like Long Beach. Long Beach has a different vibe than if you were just like near like Hollywood and West Side and all that. For people who don't live in California, Long Beach is more of like South Bay towards the water. West Side is like further up and to the left. So yeah, it's a whole different vibe of people. It's like Hollywood versus suburban. But Long Beach has like a good eclectic mix. You get everybody, but it's definitely not Hollywood in Long Beach. Where he grew up is Culver City, Hollywood, you know, that whole vibe, that area. So, you know, kids over there in that area, their parents got more money. They experience things differently. And you know, it ain't nothing for a kid in that town, in that community like Culver City, to go get the oxycodone out their mama you know, bathroom medicine cabinet, or go get the Xanax from their mom's room and be passing it around and experiencing shit with their friends. And that's what they did. And so it's a totally different mindset where they grew up like unafraid to experiment with things. And I, as a sheltered little girl, was like, So by the time I met Mark, he was very seasoned, very cultured. He'd had a little bit of experience with everything, ditching, partying, being wild. And you know, Mark is a wild child. He's very like barefoot in the grass type of dude. Like, he's very hippie, if you will. And I'm more kind of like hippie junior. Like, I like my barefoot in the grass moments too. You'll catch me outside braless on a Tuesday. You know, I'm very eclectic in my own way. But Mark is like me times 20. So a lot of things that I'd be kind of apprehensive about, he's just doing. And so as we started dating, he started really teaching me about not only how to smoke, but what to smoke, the benefits of it. And you know, I said to myself, you know, I'm putting this in my body, and everybody's smoking blunts and everybody's having a great time with it, but I want to know what the background of this is. Where does this come from? You know, if anybody knows me personally, they know that I'm obsessed with music. I love music. And whenever I get a new album or a new song on the radio or whatever, the first thing I do is look up the lyrics and who produced it and the background vocals. I like seeing all those little tidbits and all those little editing where it was mixed and mastered. I'm like, oh wow, that was recorded down the street from my house. Like, I like to Google that information because I want to know what I'm consuming as a music listener. I want to know what I'm putting into my ear gates and my eye gates spiritually. I don't want to put nothing in my body and the lyrics is saying, you know, we all finna go to hell. I don't like music like that. So, you know, I do a really not thorough, but I'm interested in the behind the scenes of everything that I have. Even if it's clothes, I want to know where it was made. So I started doing that with weed. I was like, let me just start researching. Okay, it's a plant, so let me look up the base plant of it, how you grow it, where it's grown. Let me figure out what the hell the difference is between indica, sativa, and hybrid. Let me figure out the difference between THC, THCA, and CBD. Let me figure out the difference between vapes versus dabs versus pens versus blunts versus backwoods. I was like, I don't even know how to roll a blunt. Let me try to roll a blunt. Let me try to see what a backwood does. Let me try to roll a joint. You know, I really want to know what I'm consuming. I was the same with alcohol when I first started drinking. I was like, okay, cool. Let me Google what's the difference between, what does VSOP stand for? What is 1738? What is so popular about that year for Remy Martin? What is the difference between a cognac and a tequila or a vodka and a whiskey? You know, what is the difference? I want to know, so I don't go to a bar and look stupid. So it was the same thing. I was like, I want to be able to confidently walk into a dispensary by myself and not look dumb, because I would get in there and I'd be shy. I don't know. What's the difference between, which one is bigger, an eighth or a gram? Like, I didn't know anything, and I don't like that. Shout out to James, as I wear him on my neck. James always used to tell me, you're not dumb. All you have to do is figure it out for yourself. And between James and my mother, my mom used to always tell me something similar, which was, whatever the conversation is, if you call yourself an adult, that means you should be a well-rounded individual. If we having a conversation about sea bass, you better have something to contribute to the conversation, or you need to excuse yourself, because you should never be sitting in a circle of adults unprepared with knowledge of your own, unprepared with your own opinions. You should never be sitting around a circle of individuals or sitting around a certain level of intellect if you can't match that intellect. You need to respectfully excuse yourself and leave the conversation before you make yourself look stupid. And so people always be like, how do you know so much? I Google shit, I read shit, I research shit. I look up shit. I ask questions about shit. So when the time comes for whatever I might need to know in any scenario, I will know. If I don't know, then I make sure that I don't put myself in situations where I'm ignorant and make an ignorant decision. Y'all see what I'm saying? So I felt the same way about weed. Whenever I'm in a conversation with somebody and they would bring up something about, you know, I prefer indicas, I'll be sitting there like, what is an indica? And I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like being ignorant to something. If it's something that my friends are talking about or my peers are talking about or that's in my environment or even that I'm interested in or Lena's interested in or whoever, I'm going to do my, you know, my due diligence. So I started researching. I started watching a couple of TV shows. I started reading online, watching YouTube videos, going to certain websites, asking bud tenders when I would go to dispensaries, asking the people that work behind the counter, what do they think about this strand? What do they think about this farm, this thing, that thing? I started learning about tinctures and transdermal creams and just all kind of things that you can do with weed and marijuana or whatever you like to call it. And it blew my mind, the things that I found. I was in the middle of doing all this research. It was 2017. So if I can put you back in 2017 with me, I was stressed out at a full-time job, dealing with hyperthyroid. My thyroid was overactive and enlarged. I had an arthritic hip. I still have an arthritic hip. And then I went through the whole job loss, James dying, Mark's grandmother dying, my cousin dying. Everything started happening. I started gaining weight. Me and Robert started not being on the same page parent-wise. My finances dwindled. Everything started. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, general anxiety disorder. I went through a lot. It was just like the shit was getting ready to hit the fan and I didn't see it coming. And I was right in the middle of all of this and learning about weed. And in a really weird, awkward way that might not make sense to y'all, weed helped me, and cannabis and marijuana education really helped me to open my eyes to a different direction of wellness. If I was doing this by the Western medicine way, I would be on 5-6 pills a day. I would be on an anti-inflammatory for my hip. I would be on a pill for my depression and anxiety. I would probably be on another pill for my thyroid enlargement and irregularity in my thyroid. I would have to take another pill at night just to go to sleep because the anxiety makes me restless. Learning about cannabis and medical marijuana and getting my medical marijuana card, I take none of those pills. None. Not a single one. I remember I went on a trip to Big Bear, and a lot of you guys who follow me on Facebook, you saw my Big Bear photo album. When I tell you, Big Bear is like, what do you call it? Elevation. It's a high elevation, so the air is very thin up there. On top of that, it's a lot of walking and climbing, and now not just regular walking on flat ground, but walking through the snow. Snow is slushing and sliding and everything. And I said to myself before I left, I'm not going to be able to do it with this hip. My left hip is so bad sometimes, you guys, it'll just lock in the socket and I won't be able to walk for hours. And it's partially due to arthritic changes in my hip, which are hereditary. My mom has degenerative arthritis in her hips. That's why she had to have both of her hips replaced. And the other part of it is I've gained a lot of weight due to the stress and the anxiety. It's causing me to just carry a lot of weight. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, there were extenuating circumstances to why my hip has arthritic changes and why I'm struggling right now and why I was struggling then. And so I was like, I went to my doctor about it and I got a physical therapist. I started going to physical therapy for my hip. And this is like right around before the Big Bear trip happened. And they gave me these pills to take that are anti-inflammatories, and they gave me a topical cream that's supposed to be like a local kind of numbing cream just to numb with the joint pain. Both of those medications were just released on the kidney failure list for the Doctors of America. And I was sitting in my living room watching it on TV, and it was like, I think it was the FDA and like some Doctors Association, and they're like, here's a list of all the new medicines that doctors are warning cause renal failure. And both of my medications were on that list. And I talked to my doctor about it, and she was like, well, you can't take it forever. You just have to kind of take it like when you're in severe pain. Try to take it for a week at a time and then stop, and then maybe take it for another week at a time and then stop. And I thought to myself, this is insane. I'm being prescribed poison and being told to take it sparingly, otherwise it'll tear up my kidneys, when I can just go to a dispensary and buy a CBD cream or buy even a pen or smoke a blunt and have no pain and have my kidneys function normally while I do so. I don't have to sacrifice kidney function for pain relief. And at that moment it clicked in my mind, this is why cannabis education is so important. You know, it's been a long road for me personally, because I love my family to death, but you guys know they are judgmental as hell, especially my mother. And her being a pharmacist and being a pharmacy technician for all those years, she is so Western medicine, and her brain is so programmed to automatically lean on that the holistic idea of cannabis therapy to her just doesn't click. And so her and I see this very differently. I feel like just watching, I've looked up so many good TV shows. One of them particularly is called Bong Appetit, B-O-N-G Appetit. And it's about cooking with cannabis. I've watched people on that show with ALS, with Parkinson's, with epilepsy, be literally almost 100% cured by weed, just cannabis. That's it, nothing else. And it's so beautiful and inspiring to watch, especially when it comes to like cancer patients who are sick. Mark's grandmother in her last days, the only thing that would help her keep food down was weed, was us literally just blowing the air over her face, because she was so weak she couldn't smoke herself. But just her being in the room with us while there's someone with a bong or something in the vicinity helped her get more clear, helped her open her eyes, helped her not be shaking in pain, helped her eat, helped her keep her food down without throwing it up because the chemo was tearing her stomach apart. No medication did that, no doctor did that. Weed did that. And that blew my mind. It changed my thought process on judging people so heavily because they smoke. I used to be like, oh, you a weed head, oh, you a pothead, oh, you don't do shit all day. And truthfully, it is important to find a balance, just like it would be with alcohol. You don't want to be an alcoholic. You want to enjoy your liquor. Same thing with cannabis. You don't want to sit and be dead all day and just stuck, but you want to be able to enjoy life and enjoy your cannabis too. And it just opened my mind to new things. I don't have to take any pills. I don't have to be upset. Even if I'm having a stressed out day, I'll wait until Lena goes to sleep. And I want to make something really clear before anybody gets some funky idea that I'm just putting this around my child. I would never do that. I'm not an idiot, and I'm a damn good mother. Anybody who thinks otherwise can kiss my high ass. But on the weekends, days now where she's with her father, at late at night, in order for me to sleep or go to bed, you know, I'll have anything really. They make these beautiful oils called tinctures, little oil droplet. All you do is put some drops of the oil in a cup of tea. Have a cup of sleepy time tea with some CBD oil. CBD does not get you high, by the way, if you don't know what that means. It's just like a body high and a relaxing effect. CBD will knock you out. And being able to sleep was something that I hadn't experienced in a long time. Just the idea that I can go to bed and not be waken up by my anxiety or awakened by my grief or sitting there staring at the ceiling with my depression. I can go to sleep. I find all these things to be fascinating. It makes me wonder what other type of plants and what other type of herbal supplements and holistic things can be used to heal our bodies. And not even to sound cliche or corny or dumb, but that's the reason why God put all these plants here. They were put here for a reason, to heal us. Even like the certain, what's the one that came from fungus? Penicillin. These things were already here on the earth. All man is doing is just discovering them. God already put them here. So I say all this to say, I am a proud cannabis connoisseur. I like to smoke weed. I keep a vape pen. I like to have the transdermal creams. Transdermal is really just like a cream. It's kind of like Icy Hot, but it's got cannabis in it. It's good for your joints, for your muscles. I love my weed bath bombs. I love my weed anything. And I think as long as you have a good balance of it in your life, and as long as you're over the age of 21, I say the world is your oyster. If you haven't tried weed yet, it took me until I was damn near 30 to start smoking. It wasn't something I did as a kid. It wasn't something that even appealed to me back then. It took me a long ass time to say, I'm gonna try this, because I wanted to wait until I wanted to try it for myself. I didn't want to try it because my friends was doing it. I didn't want to try it because I was trying to impress some dude. I wanted to try it for myself. A lot of the stuff that I research, I go get it by myself. And I'll show up to the house with a whole dispensary bag full of stuff that I've discovered. Edibles, candies, gummies, blunt wraps, whatever. And Mark would be like, what is all this? What do you even know about this? I was like, I Googled it. And I researched it. And I watched a couple of documentaries. And here I am. So I think that it's a beautiful thing to go down any journey of self-discovery, learning any new thing by yourself. And I absolutely encourage anyone who's ever been kinda curious, kinda afraid, kinda anything, to try some cannabis. It will change you. Okay, it might not change you, but you'll be surprised at what happens. I can tell you guys, the first time that I actually experienced a full body high and actually really took a breath long enough to inhale and get that good cough, you know that good smoke cough, that that thing. Once I coughed, it was like my body, it was weird. I felt my body like float away. I was out of it. And I've never told this story to anyone before. I'm telling it to y'all. Shout out to Layla. It was a time when Layla and I had a lovely little get together on my balcony, and she showed me why they call it the Yay area. Because she brought that damn, I forgot what it was. It was like OG Kush or OG something. She brought from up north and brought it down here when she came to visit me. I was not ready for that Fresno. I was not ready for that Frisco. I was not ready for that Bay Area. I was not prepared, okay? That was stronger than anything I've ever had down here. And I literally had to run off my balcony and go sit in my bedroom like, oh my God, what's going on? Why are we spinning? Layla and Mark laughed at me all damn night because I had never experienced anything like that before. But when I woke up the next morning, I felt great. I felt relaxed. I felt calm. I wasn't so easily irritated or easily stressed. And I was like, this is cool. I'm chilling. I'm chilling. I couldn't move fast if I wanted to. I was still high in the morning when I got up. Good morning, everybody. That was exactly my face. And it was great. It was scary, but it was great. So, my newest journey in life and my newest little side thing, I don't know if I want to make it a whole career, but just a little side thing, is I have been selected to become an ambassador with Ease. If you don't know what Ease is, it is a cannabis delivery service. They work with pretty much most dispensaries in most states where cannabis is legal. And I, being an ambassador, have a little tiny gift for you. If you use my code, and I'm going to put my code somewhere over here or down here or over there, I'll probably put it in all three places. If you use my code whenever you order something from Ease, I will give you $20 off of your first order. Yes, you heard me correctly, absolutely, positively. No, this is not a joke. Yes, I am really an ambassador for the company. If you use my code, you will get $20 off your first order. Ease can send anything to your home within the hour. Wherever you live, if you live in a state where cannabis is legal, they can get it to you. And no, this video is not sponsored by Ease. I just simply wanted to share a little bit with you guys about what I've been doing lately outside of YouTube. So, you know, friends and family of mine have been enjoying the smack out of this code and excited about the code. And when you gonna get the code so I can get the code? So now, y'all, my YouTube subscribers, y'all have the code. So I welcome you to join me in a cannabis journey if you've never experienced cannabis before. I welcome you to have fun with me if you already know what cannabis is and you like smoking. I like smoking too, okay? So now we can smoke together. Or if you want to get a gift for someone, you know someone who does smoke, you know someone who has cancer or some other type of uncurable disease or illness, and cannabis really helps them on a day-to-day to be able to function. Give them the code. Like, hey, $20 off your next delivery. If you live in California, you know you can get a hot little eighth for about $20, $25, $30. So if you get $20 off your next delivery, all you'll be paying is the delivery fee, which is like, what, $3, $5 for a whole eighth. Might be worth it. Might be worth your time. It's your time on my dime. I'm paying for it. You get $20 off whenever you use my code. So what the hell are you, what do you have to lose, okay? So for those who are interested in the code, it will be in the description box below, as well as somewhere near my face, probably right here. Download the app, use Ease, go to the website, use Ease, that is E-A-Z-E. It's easy to get some weed to your house immediately. So use the code, have fun. And for those of you who don't smoke weed and you're wondering where the hell this came from, or how can she say that, and weed ain't really helping nobody, and blah, blah, blah. Anybody who got any of this to say, that's your truth. That's your personal choice. That's your life. Don't judge other people's. Don't assume about other people's. If you're perfectly happy in your life, never smoking weed a day in your life, that's what's up. Good to you. I'm the same way. I'll probably never take a pill or a Xanax or a Molly or nothing like that in my life. I never will, especially now that I know the difference, and now that I'm educated on cannabis, and now that I know that weed is not a gateway drug, and I wish people would stop saying that because that is so damn ignorant to say. Now that I know that, and now that I know the difference between cannabis and those other manufactured factory drugs, and now that I can tell how to know that I'm getting real cannabis, that should probably be another video, how to tell the truth between the fake weed that makes you sick and actual real weed that will help you and benefit you. Now that I know how to spot those out, and now that I know how to do that, and I'm living my best life over here having a high-ass Saturday, I don't care about what nobody got to say, because usually the person who's coming out the gate saying something wrong is somebody damn it ignorant anyway, who's never experienced it, who doesn't know weed from oregano. They're just coming out with an opinion. We don't need your opinions. We all grown. We good, okay? But for those of you who don't judge, for those of you who want to experience it, who want to try it, for those of you who just want to get $20 off, for those of you who think that's a dope-ass deal, use the code. Why not? I wish I could use my own damn code. Not even gonna lie, I might have Mark use it for me. But I hope that this helps someone. I hope that this enlightens someone. If you didn't know that I smoked and you thought, and you're shocked and surprised by this information, surprise. Who knew, right? Well, I did, but you didn't. So, you know, any other questions you guys have for me, if you want, sorry, that's my steering wheel. Any other questions you guys have about the code, put them in the comments. If you want me to make a follow-up video to this, going into more detail about anything, or you have any other questions, or you want to know the who, what, when, where, why, you want to know what type of blunt wraps I buy, whatever you want to know, what type of grinder I use, what type of pen, whatever, I can make another video with cannabis Q&A if that's perfect for y'all, if that's what y'all want. Or I could we could chat in the description box below. So y'all let me know whatever y'all want to know, okay? I hope you guys are having a beautiful, fantabulous, glorious, blessed, relaxed, amazing, unforgettable day wherever you are, whoever you are, however you look, whatever you're doing. I love you lots, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to use the code. Bye.